Okay, Derbyite Survivor Season 41, Episode 3. It's time for us to break it down. I'm Matt Noble, joined by Kevin Jacobsen and Marcus Dixon. And guys, we had a new Beware advantage this week. As you were saying to me just a minute ago, Marcus, so many advantages, they're just leaving them on the ground now. They're dropping them around. How did you feel about this week's Beware advantage, where three people, if they opened it, one person from each tribe opened it, they had to go to sort of a summit on a new island, and they had to decide whether they wanted to take a tarp for their tribe or they wanted to get a steal a vote advantage. But if everyone went the steal a vote, they all lost their vote.
I'm kind of over the advantages already. It's only been 4 episodes, but there are so many. It's very hard to keep track of who has what. And like you said, they're literally just dropping them on the ground now for these people to find. That there had to have been a better way for the producers to make sure 3 people went on boats in the middle of the night, rather than just dropping these notes on the beach. And in the end, Kevin, you just made a point off camera that it really was all for nothing, because Brad is the only one that got something out of those 3 people. He got the steal a vote, and now he's voted off.
Right. Yeah, it's I think interesting. We saw last week. Actually, what do you think, Kevin? Before I get into that, what do you think about the advantages?
I think the sheer number of advantages is starting to become overwhelming. I think it's overwhelming to the viewer. I mean, it's overwhelming to me, someone who's talking about Survivor week to week. I can't imagine what the casual Survivor audience is really trying to mathematically figure out who has what and everything. But I also think it's sort of starting to overwhelm the natural social dynamics and the strategy. I mean, I like that there's some social element to this whole thing of going to the summit where the tribes are co-mingling and they actually are getting to know each other somewhat. I like that aspect, but it just sort of feels like the producers are sort of putting all these things in to sort of guide the narrative rather than having the actual players guide the course of the season. So I'm not a huge fan of that aspect. I mean, listen, I still really like this season. I like this cast a lot, but I guess I don't think we need an advantage situation summit thing every single week,
Mm-hmm. Look, I think, no. I don't disagree with you guys. But it is interesting for some of the cross-tribal relationships we're seeing develop. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out once we hit merge or tribe swaps and things like that. Last week, we saw Evie and Deshawn, and they seem to connect quite well. Evie shared a lot of stuff with Deshawn. She was able to get him an extra vote. That's probably built some trust there. This week, Brad got voted out, so whatever relationships he built or didn't build there. But it did seem like Tiffany did not do as good a job of bonding with Sydney. It seemed like Sydney thought Tiffany was a bit too maybe intense with sort of how she was saying the things should play out, even though I think Tiffany took the tarp so that Sydney was able to get a vote, but Sydney didn't trust Tiffany, so she didn't take the vote anyway, because she's like, I just don't think I trust this Tiffany girl. So I think that was an interesting one that we'll see. Tiffany did not seem to be great at building those relationships, even though I guess she was trying to get other people extra votes to move forward. So was the right move to take the tarp or to take the vote?
I would have tried to get the vote. And I think I would have been honest with the other 2 people. You guys can do what you want, but I'm doing the steal a vote. But then again, whether they trusted me or not, that's up for them to decide. What would you have done, Kevin?
I think if you're in a good enough position, I think that just voting for the tarp is fine. I mean, honestly, the whole vote steal thing for me isn't like even the best advantage, because like you're gonna piss off the person who you're stealing a vote from. So I don't know if I really would want to do that unless I'm in like a truly dangerous situation. But you know, I'm thinking of like someone like Tiffany, I think can't really afford to risk it because there's only 4 people on her tribe, and you know, if they all pick vote steal, she loses a vote, and now only 2 people can decide who goes next, and that's very risky. So I think she made the right call there.
That's a problem this season with having 3 tribes, having so few people in each tribe. And there are many people in the game that can't vote right now. And there are many people with extra advantages that it really, it's like we said earlier, it's hard to keep track of, but it's also hard if you're a player to, you know, make an alliance. Because if you make an alliance with someone and they don't have a vote, like what's the point of even aligning with them?
Yeah. No, it's a good point. I think probably like this, unless you wanted to sort of build trust with others and get them advantages and things like that, I do think that there's no real disadvantage from just going, hey guys, sorry, I need the stealer vote, so I'm just going to be doing that. You know, if you guys want to lose your vote, you can both do stealer vote too. Like you might as well just say hot out the gate, I'm taking the stealer vote, guys. So if you both do the same thing, you're going to lose your tarp. Like, you're going to lose your vote. So, like,
doesn't that feel a little aggressive to just sort of like say that right out of the gate?
That could be. I was just criticizing Tiffany for being too hot out the gate, and I've done the same thing. Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with a little honesty in Survivor. You just have to find a nice way to say it.
Right. Yes, I agree. We'll talk about the UR tribe that actually went to tribal council this week in a minute. But first, let's just touch on Luvu, the tribe we've seen the least of all season because they haven't had to go to tribal council yet. The only real Luvu thing we've sort of seen in this week's episode was Nasir, who sort of had a bad premiere episode in terms of he sort of ratted out Danny and Deshaun, and then the people were like then told Danny and Deshaun he'd done that. So that got him. Then last week he made fire and everyone was like loving Nasir. It's really been an up and down game for him because this week he was talking to Sydney about voting out Danny, and then Sydney went and told Danny about it. So any thoughts on that, Kevin?
Yeah, here's my advice to Nasir. Stop talking to Sydney, because like she has literally spelled the thing in the premiere to them, and she just spilled this to literally the entire tribe and is laughing, you know, on the beach. But like honestly, speaking to Sydney, I think she's kind of like the player that I would fear out there, to be honest, because I feel like I would trust her with something and then she would just sort of go behind my back and just go to the popular kids and like reveal everything. So not gonna lie, hoping in the sort of battle between Nasir and Sydney that maybe Nasir can have a little comeback next week. I mean, you're right. It's sort of like yo-yoing his like good and bad episodes here. So hopefully this was just a bottom moment for him that he can rise up again.
I think with Nasir that the bad outweighs the good. The good he did last week was start the fire, and I don't know if you need someone like that on your tribe at this stage. If you don't know if the other 5 people can't build fire, you're in trouble. So I do think having someone that you can't trust on your tribe, or someone that's a blabbermouth, is probably going to be the first person to go when they go to tribal council, and it'll probably be unanimous. And like you said, Matt, we don't know much about this tribe because they haven't gone to tribal, but they also are the only tribe to not find the beware advantage, third immunity idol. And I wonder, are they looking for it? Like, we're not even shown scenes of them, trudging through the jungle. So it's possible they're just all relaxing at camp and doing nothing.
Yeah. No, it's a good point. I do agree with you that like making the fire is sort of outweighed by the sort of people now not trusting him. And I think like the real hole Nassir is in is you're in trouble in a 6-person tribe when the one person that you're trusting is going and telling other people your plans. Like, because I don't think Nassir is going to be able to get Danny and Deshaun on board after like throwing them both under the bus once and Danny under the bus a second time. And then if he doesn't have Sydney either, well, that's half the tribe. So unless Erica and Heather really are big fans of Nassir, he's in a lot of trouble. And it did seem he had them all sort of sitting on a log chatting and stuff while Nassir's off on his own. So
we haven't seen either of them like at all in terms of the edit of the show. Like, who are they really?
Yeah. So I think he could be in trouble if they lose. But maybe the best thing going for Nassir is there might be a tribe swap. There might be there might be a tribe swap or some twist happen before they even have to vote someone out. So that could be his saving grace in the show.
Do you guys think that'll happen? If do you think there will be a swap before the merge? There usually is when they start with multiple tribes like this.
I think
there will be.
Yeah, especially because we're really getting down in numbers here, because now 2 tribes only have 4 people left. I feel like that's not ideal.
I think something else that's quite interesting from this episode, they've been doing it a bit this season, but I think this episode was in like a really big way, and they've done it a little bit in Survivor before, was the edit and using like flashbacks. So you've got sort of Sydney going, hey, you won't believe what Nassir said last night. And then they cut to the scene from the night before, which I thought was a really cool way of them getting in. Sort of often you don't see what happens at night for a tribe that hasn't gone to tribal the night before, because sort of we've got to focus on the tribe at tribal. So I thought that was cool. And then you had like them talking at camp on the Ewer tribe, which went to tribal council, about sort of, has anyone found the idol? No, no one's found the idol. And then we cut to Jenny going, hey, Brad just found the idol. And then we cut to 30 minutes earlier, Jeannie and Brad finding the idol, the beware advantage. So I think it's worth, I don't know if they could overdo it at some point, but I'm quite liking this storytelling where they're using flashbacks and cuts like that. What do you guys think?
It's all very lost. People on an island and flashbacks are the narrative. And there was a donkey wheel in the premiere, don't forget.
Right. Yes. And we are seeing flashbacks through their actual lives before the show. So, yeah.
Who would be the John
talking
Locke?
about the monster and everything. So,
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Who would be the John Locke of this group? Was it Brad?
Don't tell me what I can't do. Who's sort of that?
It may have been Brad.
It could be Brad. Yeah, I will think about that. Who's the John Locke of this season of Survivor?
I don't know why my first thought was Nassir, but
yeah, like he's come for a great experience. The man of who's the man of faith. Now, you went to tribal council. They lost their challenge to vote out their second person. Brad ended up on the wrong side of the numbers. JD was the other person that was in the mix to get voted out, and he had because he got caught out with an extra vote in his pants, and Shan was so upset with him for that. She almost didn't vote for him. He had to give her the extra vote to mind for a week while he's on detention or whatever.
Yeah, he's grounded.
He's grounded. Yeah, he's grounded. Yeah. Doesn't get that extra vote till he's served his time. What do we think about how that vote played out? What do you think, Marcus?
First of all, I think Shan totally manipulated this poor kid. There's no rule in Survivor that says you have to tell your alliance everything you have. And I would love for Shan to find something next week and not tell anyone. But as for the vote, once again, this is the fourth person who went home without playing their shot in the dark die. And I know that he didn't know he was going home, so why would he do it? But in hindsight, it always kills me. Like, if he had just played it, would he still be there? We'll never
Is
know.
Brad allowed to play his shot in the dark die?
I'm assuming so. Yeah.
Because he doesn't have his vote, and don't you have to give up your vote in order to play it?
Oh, I see what you mean. That's a good question.
Yeah. But regardless, I agree with you, Marcus. We haven't seen anyone play it, and it will be good to see if actually someone does realize they're going home and plays that dice, because it is you like they'll in hindsight go, no, why did I play it?
And this season in particular, you really have to blindside someone because of the threat that everyone potentially has an idol in their pocket. Like, we're gonna probably see blindsides every week.
Good point.
What do you think, Kevin?
Well, first of all, this was one of those episodes for me where, like, the two people who were being talked about as maybe being voted out, I really didn't want to lose, because I think both Brad and JD have been such fun characters to watch. I mean, Brad is like such a mess, like totally like the Tasmanian devil, just like going out and hiding in bushes and finding multiple advantages in one episode. And like, also JD, he's like very enthusiastic and really like referential about past players and is just like so excited to be there. So, I mean, I was kind of like devastated either way for whoever we would lose. But I do think they made the right call maybe by voting out Brad in terms of like who they can really work with moving forward, who they want to work with. I think more importantly, where Shan and JD just have this, even if it's a tense relationship, there's still something stronger there than whatever Brad had with anyone outside of Jeannie, I guess. But either way, I'd say it's kind of a loss in terms of the entertainment value to lose Brad here.
I was very sad when you were lost the immunity challenge, because I think that is stacked with a lot of great characters. And I thought whatever happens here, we're going to lose someone that's pretty fun on the show.
Do you think Shan made the right decision? Because in one hand, she had JD's fate, whereas JD completely trusts her and gives her his advantage. And then she has Brad, who has two advantages. And I think she made the right choice by keeping JD, because you have this kid that is now completely loyal to you and gives you his advantage. You want to keep him on your side.
I actually do not think Shan made the right call. I don't know. Like, she's been my favorite player all season. She's still my winner's pick. And Marcus, I think you were saying she's now the front runner. She's overtaken Evie for the front runner spot on our Gold Derby odds in the prediction center. Yeah,
that's right.
Is that true?
Evie is now in second place, and Shan has jumped up to the first place position. And you can go make your picks at goldderby.com.
So a lot of the people at Gold Derby liked what they saw from Shan this week, obviously. And I still think, look, she's still my winner's pick position. I think she made the wrong call, because especially with perhaps a swap looming at some point in the next couple of episodes, I think this move gets Jeannie offside. And Jeannie now becomes a bit, I think there's a Jeannie problem, perhaps, for Shan. Because with Jeannie, Shan might wish she never voted out Brad. Because I think, look, Shan was in a great spot, because you had Brad fully trusted her, and you've got Jeannie's close with Brad. So, like, she was in a sort of tight three with Brad and Jeannie. Now she's also in a tight three with Ricard and JD. So she's perfectly placed in the middle, a bit like the position Evie was in last week, really, where I can go with these two or I can go with those two. And it seems like she's closest to Ricard out of everyone.
I think
like,
so.
That's just from the edit. That seems like her sort of number two. So I sort of feel like the problem with getting rid of, if you get rid of Brad, it means now you've lost Jeannie. and you've still got your tight two with JD and Ricard. But I feel like there was a way this week where she could have voted out JD because like she had justification for voting out JD because of the vote. And she could, and then sort of Ricard's still close with it. He's not going to be blindsided because she's talked it through for Ricard why they have to vote JD. And then Brad and Jeannie still think she's good with them. Brad also, she then might, I'm not sure what the rules are with the extra vote, but if you vote out JD, you also might have his extra vote, which if they went back to tribal council, she could maybe use to get rid of Brad or Jeannie. She wouldn't have to worry about a tied vote at that point. But if they don't need to go back to tribal council, you haven't burnt bridges with anyone that's still in the game, and you're not going to get screwed over by one of them in a swap. So I actually think she made the wrong move, but it does depend a little bit how adamant Ricard was. Because I think if you were going to like piss off Ricard by voting out JD, it's probably she probably made the right move. So it depends how much she was able to convince Ricard. What do you think, Kevin?
Yeah, I think that's a very fair point. I also think looking down the line that someone like JD maybe has more of a chance of winning the game more so than Brad, who again is kind of erratic. But I do think that ultimately they just went with who they bond with socially more and who they're more comfortable working with in the end. And maybe it's a little bit short-sighted, but I think it's just sort of about her feeling comfortable with the people she's with. Like we saw in the last episode when Brad came back from the bushes and he's just like, oh my God, I did all this, this, and this. And she's like, okay, I don't really like, she didn't seem that thrilled by all that. So I feel like it's more of a social thing more than strategic for her.
Yeah, poor Jeannie and Brad had this strong duo, and now I think she'll be the next one out if Ua loses again. I think it may be 3-1 against her.
Yes, I'd agree with that. So so Jeannie's not in a good spot, but if she's able to survive to a swap, she could cause some problems for Shan. The first thing where I think, has Shan exposed herself as a bit of a player this early? The mafia pastor. She's grounding people. She's blindsiding people. She's doing quite well in the game. Like, and again, even though I disagree with her decision, I think she is playing a really, really strong game. I think actually, and Ricard, I think it worked out really well for. I think like this, he's in a really good position on his tribe now because he's close with JD and he's close with Dick. I think if Brad had gone, Ricard would have been at somewhat risk where we go to the next tribe. We go, well, it'll either be Brad or Ricard at the next tribal, where I agree with you, Marcus. I think we can be pretty confident that Jeannie, unless there's a twist or something, is probably the next one if they lose. Yeah?
Yeah, I agree.
Was there anything else from the episode we had to break down?
Broccoli.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
So Brad finds the Beware advantage, and then he goes to tribal and he says it wrong, which there's a really fun interview with him. I think it was Entertainment Weekly, where he said, for 24 hours, I was saying it in my head, the correct saying, which was, I believe was broccoli's are little trees, something like that.
Yeah.
And he finally gets there and he said his mind goes blank and he says the wrong thing. And my question is, was that good enough? Would the producers have said, okay, you said it, if the other two tribes had said it? I think that would have been good enough.
Like you said all the key words. I think that's, you're mostly there. Yeah.
And then we have that moment of Xander and Brad, where they were both on the buoys waiting to swim. And Xander's like, I like what you said about broccoli. And I'm like, ooh, they're going to bond. Like, they're going to have an alliance. And then Brad's gone. So I'm like, okay, that goes nowhere.
Yeah. And what does Xander do next week? Does he has to say it a third time? Like,
say it again.
Start over. Yeah.
And what about the broccoli now? Like, does that Beware advantage go back in a tree stump? And like, does someone else have to find it?
Like, I
Probably.
do wonder if they just I do wonder there's a chance they might just rehide it. Because technically all 3 sayings need to be said at the same tribal for them to be activated.
Right.
So I don't know this, but why wouldn't you just rehide it and then someone else needs to find it so it can be said at the next tribal council?
I bet that's what they'll do. I bet they'll rehide it. Like when an immunity idol is played, the producers usually hide it back again at that same camp.
Yeah, and that's a way where you sort of keep Xander's idol still sort of dormant.
Mhm.
This sort of thing that could become alive at any moment, but at the moment is not. So yeah, it'll be interesting. I'd love to see them all be found and it all be said just to see how it all plays out. But we'll see. It's also pretty funny just seeing Xander say the same thing every week.
I feel so bad for him. Like, he thought of a really good way of repeating it this week. Where he said, remember last time I said this? Like, what's he gonna do? I have no idea.
He's got to say to the guys, like, guys are the editors. I'm I know they could. I really want this line in the show. I've just got to say it every week. Like, I really,
That's my
guys,
catchphrase.
If I say it enough, it's got to make the edit one week.
If I was Xander, I would make that my Twitter bio, just that quote.
Yeah.
Yeah. The good thing is that the one good thing is, I guess he doesn't know that though. Like, Emmys told the others about it anyway, so it's not even a secret from his tribe that he has that. But he probably thinks Emmy's the only one who knows about it. Although maybe after how last week's vote went, he's more skeptical whether she's kept it a secret or not.
I don't think we see a scene of Xander kind of confronting his tribe about why they voted out David. I
would have liked to see how Xander reacted to that vote.
Was he shocked or was he okay with it? I don't know.
He said last week at Tribal, he's like, boy, that was really tough. Which I guess could mean, oh boy, that was really tough because now I'm on the bottom of the numbers and I'm like annoyed at you guys. But he didn't seem super PO'd about it. So it could have been more like, boy, that was tough. I knew that. Like, I don't know if Evie gave him a heads up that vote was coming or not. Like, yeah. What do you think, Kevin?
I think he didn't seem particularly surprised, more so than just like disappointed, I guess.
Like, Jeannie seemed surprised.
Oh, yeah.
When we saw her, she seemed surprised and annoyed, which is why as soon as I saw her reaction, I'm like, "Oh, Sean, like, should be okay, but like this could be something that blows up a bit later in the game for her."
Look, I mean, we saw how frustrated she was when they lost the immunity challenge. She kicking the bench. Like, I would watch out. Just saying.
Jeannie,
yeah. Don't cross Jeannie.
Yeah, don't cross a Jeannie scorned or whatever. Very, very good. I also love the broccoli, like how Xander, you say like, hey, like what you said about broccoli, and did Brad go, oh, I didn't say it very well, and Xander's like, yeah, I'm with you on that.
I think I would have to look back. I think he said something like, I knew what you meant or something.
Oh, okay. I thought he was like, yeah, no, I know what you mean. You did say that really badly. Is how I interpreted that, but I think your read is right, Marcus. Oh,
and what's the third quote? So we have the butterflies and the broccoli, and I forget
something about AstroTurf.
As crazy as a goat on AstroTurf.
Yeah,
something like that.
There you go. Good luck working that into a normal conversation.
Yeah.
I feel like there are characters I could see saying that. I think that's the best of the 3 sayings.
I could see Coach saying that.
Yeah. I can even see someone like I don't know, like from previous scenes, like a Keith Nail or a JT, like a good old Southern sort of farmer. Like Brad actually would have been good.
Brad
boy,
could
I'm
have done
crazy
it. Yeah.
as it goes on AstroTurf, Jeff. Like, this is wild. This is yeah. So I think that's the best one. I think the broccoli was the hardest one to say, in fairness to Brad. Like, it's really got nothing to do with the show at all. At least butterflies, ancestors. Sometimes people talk about ancestors and sort of the spirits of Survivor and the Survivor gods and things like that.
Yeah, that was big in season 1 about the gods.
Yeah.
remember Jeff said that, everyone that had been voted out, their torch had been, blown out by the wind beforehand. Like something was
Yeah,
something weird was going on.
yeah. Oh, good. Oh, love it. Any expectations for next week, guys?
I want Luvu to lose. I want to see them go
Me
to
too.
tribal for the first
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Got to see how
I'd
that
like-
plays out.
Again, I'd like to learn more about Heather and Erica. Let's just throw that
Who are
out
they?
there. Yeah, exactly.
the
The
show?
one who looks like Jennifer Coolidge. Yeah, but we saw some erratic behavior, quote unquote, from Sydney in the next time on. So we'll see where that leads.
Yes. And it looks like even people maybe wanted to throw a challenge in the next time on, and
Yes.
some disagreement about that, which I think were people on the Blue Tribe as well. So
It
Luvu
was.
could see a bit more, whether they win or lose next week, a bit more of the dynamics there, which will be interesting.
Never a good idea to throw a challenge on Survivor.
Well, first time a challenge has ever thrown, Marcus. Ethan's on in Africa, and he went on to win the show.
Oh, good. Look at your memory.
Good pull.
So there you go.
Mhm.
First time it was done, it was one. Specific circumstances, but I think sometimes it works. There we go. Marcus, anything you want to say about the prediction center before we wrap off?
So yeah, we mentioned the winner, which is now Shan, and the predicted vote off is Nasir. I feel like he's been up there in the odds for, a couple weeks now. And it looks like second place is Sydney.
Interesting. So people are high on them finally losing.
Mhm.
That's why I always find so hard the pre-merge picking who goes next week, because you don't know which tribe's going to be at tribe.
Yeah.
Like I feel like at least the merge, I know everyone's going to be there.
Mhm.
I was think and then you can think, oh, these people have a better chance of winning immunity and things. But with tribes, it's a bit trickier. Like you've sort of got, because I've got 3 names in my head who I want to pick, and I've got one from each tribe, and I've got to think, well, which one am I going to actually think's most likely to lose the immunity?
You have to be right twice. You have to be right on which tribe, and then you have to be right on which person within that tribe. Yeah, it's tough. It's much easier when we get to the merge.
Yeah. Who do you think's gone next week, Kevin?
I'll say Sydney. I think her time is coming, would be my guess. Maybe it's hope dictating on my part that I'm just kind of hoping that Nasir really just pulls through this rough patch, but that would be my guess.
Yeah. I think Nasir too, but again, Luvu could win and then it's someone else. What do you think, Marcus? Who's going?
I'm gonna stick with Nasir. I think the writing was on the wall for him in episode 1. He redeemed himself a little bit in episode 2, and then this week he's back down again.
Yeah. Who are your guys' winners pick? I said Shan.
I've still had Shan from the start, so no reason to change for me.
At Gold Derby, I've been picking Evie each week, but I think I may switch to Ricard. I'm starting to like him more and more.
Good bet.
He's placed well. I think it was a very good episode for Ricard and how he's placed in the game.
I'm going to make that switch right now. I'm going to switch to Ricard.
Wow.
There you go. Fantastic. Well, guys, thanks for watching our Survivor Slugfest for episode 3. We'll be back next week, and get on to goldderby.com to make your Survivor predictions and sort of also predict other awards and join our forums and all that sort of stuff. Thank you.